Hey everybody, it's Amy here. Welcome to today's yoga practice. I am actually on location at Chetek Lake in Wisconsin. It's a beautiful, I think it's September 2nd evening, and Ellie Boo Boo is joining me today. Say hi to everybody, Ellie. She'll just be hanging out back here observing in the way that she does. So today's practice is really chill. It's a great practice to do any time of day really, but you could do it in the evening for sure, and it's not going to rile you up too much. And it focuses primarily on your spine and a little bit on your hips. So really great for anybody dealing with back tightness, stress, issues, injuries, anything like that, or really tight hips. And like I said, it's pretty chill, so pretty much anybody can practice along. So I hope you'll join me, and let's get started. So we're going to start this practice on our back. So you can just come on down, lie down onto your backs. And go ahead and actually start with your feet on your mat, and you can just let your feet come out almost mat width apart, and then just let your knees rock in towards each other. And if you'd like to start today with one hand on your belly and one hand near your chest, you can go ahead and do that if that's comfortable. And then bring your eyes to close. And we're just going to take a few rounds of centering breaths to bring ourselves into the moment and to start making a connection with our bodies today. So go ahead and draw in a nice deep breath. You can breathe in through your nose and just fill your body up with that breath. And relax your jaw and just let the breath slowly leave out through your mouth. And repeat that just a couple more times. So take a nice deep breath in through the nose. Just feel your body receiving that breath. And as you exhale, let your body release. Let your breath release. And just feel yourself settling onto your mat. And just go ahead and repeat that a couple more times on your own. Just breathing in, breathing out. Feel that breath. And let go and release the day that you've had or the day that's to come. And start to feel the floor underneath you. And, excuse me, and as you breathe out, just let your back lean into the floor beneath you. Start to feel into the support that is always available to us, the support of the ground beneath us. And let your body actually become heavy. And you might be able to feel places that are holding. So for instance, maybe your shoulders, you can kind of sense that they're just resisting gravity a little bit, kind of lifting up away from the earth, and just coax those shoulders down. And any other part of your body that you notice a little bit of holding, unnecessary holding, just gently, tenderly inviting those parts of your body to release. Relax your jaw. Especially as the mouth slightly opens, you can find a nice release through the throat. And also I want to invite you to let your mind soften. Good. And then from here, let's bring the knees into the chest. So just squeeze your knees to your belly, to your chest, and just let yourself rock a little bit from side to side, just massaging across your low back. Just kind of feeling the back being massaged by the floor. So you could rock a little bit side to side. You could also place your hands on your knees and let your knees circle around. and just moving at a pace that feels really good for you. And your knees might be moving together as one unit, or you could separate your knees and let the knees just kind of circle around on their own. So it's kind of organic, fluid movement. All the while that you're moving here, let your jaw continue to relax. Good. And then go ahead and reach down and see if you can either grab your shin bones, you could grab your ankles, you might even grab the feet or even the big toes and come into a happy baby pose. So lift the soles of the feet up towards the sky and then press your knees down towards the floor alongside your body, and then just gently rock over to the left and rock over to the right. Just rolling gently from side to side. All of these opening movements should feel really good, and they should feel nourishing and also nurturing to your back. You don't have to worry too much about alignment right now. You can really let your movements be dictated by how they feel and that they feel good. Good. And then slowly let yourself come back through center and gather your knees back in towards your chest and grab hold behind your thighs and just lift your legs up towards the sky and just wiggle your ankles around. You could circle your ankles, you know, and if your hamstrings are on the tight side, you might not even be able to straighten your legs all the way, so they could be a little bit bent. And maybe point your toes and flex your toes and spread your toes, circling out the ankles. This is really kind of ooey gooey movements. You just want things to feel good. Take a nice deep breath in. And then exhale, let your knees come back into your chest. Keep your right knee in towards your chest. Stretch your left leg out. And just hug that right thigh in towards your belly. And try to really relax around your hip. You could even rock your hip in and out a little bit. Sometimes that's really nice, just kind of creating a little fluid movement here, or rocking motion for the hip joint to stimulate the synovial fluid in that joint to create more ease and mobility. Good. Draw the knee straight in towards your heart center. Take a deep breath. Breathe into your belly. And then as you exhale, draw your right knee over to the left side of your body. We're just going to take an easy twist here. And you can stretch your right arm out in line with your shoulder and then rotate your gaze towards your right hand. And just take a couple deep belly breaths here and just let your low back release and expand and open. All the parts of your body that are in contact with the floor, just breathe out. Let your body release through those points of contact and really become heavy. Good. Breathe in, bring that right knee back up through center. And then stretch your right leg out on your mat and just rest for a moment and just kind of notice the two sides of your body. Maybe one side feels more dense or heavy or blocked up, and possibly the right side, because we just worked with it, it feels a little bit more open and fluid. And sometimes it's nice to just honor that, to recognize that. And then when you're ready, side two, just bring the left knee in towards your chest. Give yourself a nice little hug. Bring that thigh in towards your belly, and maybe even rocking the right knee in and out fluidly, or circling that knee a little bit more, or even rocking forward and back a little. And then when you're ready, we'll bring the left knee over to the right for a twist. And you can stretch your left arm out nice and far and then gaze in the direction of that left hand and just take a couple deep belly breaths. Keep relaxing your jaw here. Let this movement feel just ooey gooey and yummy in your body. When you exhale, everything gets heavier. So you just let the floor support your body. Let the muscles lean into that support and let go a little bit. One more deep breath in. Good. Breathe it out. Bring yourself back through center. And then one more time, just stretch the left leg out and just lie for a moment flat. And maybe, again, you see just a little bit of a shift. Just kind of noticing what the practice is doing to your body, how it's changing your body. Deep breath in and complete breath out. Good. And then you can bring both knees into your chest. And we're gonna rock off to one side. So you can, either side, doesn't really matter. Just roll yourself over to the side and ease yourself up to sit. Find a nice comfortable seat on your mat. And if it works for you to cross your legs, great, that's what we're going for. If your hips are on the super tight side, I would recommend, if you can grab a pillow quick, fold it up, put it underneath your hips so that you're upright and feeling a little bit more supported, so that you can sit like this for just a little bit, because we're going to be doing several different stretches for the spine from this position. So make sure you feel comfortable. And to start off, just let your hands rest on your knees, or you can grab your shin bones and just close your eyes for a moment and allow your chest to rise up. Take your shoulders up, give a little squeeze of the shoulders towards the ears, and then roll your shoulders back and down. Let's actually repeat that 2 more times. So take a breath in, draw your shoulders forward and up, and at the top, it's good here to just squeeze your muscles. At the top, those are the muscles that we kind of habitually hold, and then roll the shoulders back, press your shoulders down. Okay, do that once more with your breath. Inhale, lift up. And then exhale, roll the shoulders back and press your shoulders down. Good. And then again, make sure you're sitting fairly comfortable. And if you don't have a pillow, even if you have a chair, you could sit on a chair for this next movement. We're going to do a little flexion of the spine and extension for the spine in the form of a seated cat-cow. So again, grab your shin bones or your knees, whatever works for you. And let your elbows bend and draw the shoulders again back and down, and just stretch your chest towards the TV, towards me, and lift your chin, gaze up. Stretch your throat. Take a deep breath here. And then as you exhale, begin to round your back. Tuck your chin to your chest. Grab hold of those shin bones. Let your elbows grow straight, rounding your back. You can really kind of lean into the stretch here. If your back feels tight today, just take a pause. Breathe into that. Breathe out. And then inhale, rock forward. Again, let your elbows bend and try to bring your chest forward, slide your shoulders down, lift your chin, gaze up, and exhale, rock back, round your spine. And you can start to move with your breath. Just take a few more rounds. So this is a really simple movement, but we're just starting to kind of awaken all the muscles along the back and increase the flow of energy along your core. And if you find that your back is really tight in certain areas, and one phase of this stretch feels extremely nurturing to your spine, stay there and take an extra breath. Totally fine. Okay, just a couple more rounds with your breath. Exhaling as you round and inhaling as you arch. Good. Take one more exhalation, round your back. And then breathe and let yourself come all the way up through center. And we're going to keep working with that fluid movement for the spine, but we're going to take it into a circle. So let's actually start with the rounded position. So you can rock back, round your spine, and then begin to rotate your spine or reach your spine out towards the right. You can kind of follow along with me. And tip your spine forward. You could shift your hands here, press into your knees, arch your back, and then stretch over to the left as far as you can. Start to pull on those shin bones and round your back, rolling through center. So this doesn't have to look perfect. It's more about bringing your spine into its full range of motion. And let your breath just kind of sync up with this movement, however it feels best for you. You can really move at a pace that works, so slow it way down if your back is tight and you want to really feel into those sticky spots, or just move fluidly, breathing in, breathing out. Take one more circle in this direction. And then gracefully let yourself just transition into the opposite direction. And we'll take a few rounds circling in this way. So I know for me, usually, especially when I move in this more kind of organic way, sometimes I get some pops and cracks in my spine, and it's actually my spine adjusting, places that have been out of alignment. So it's a really good sign that things are starting to loosen up, energy is starting to flow, and the bones are coming back into place. So trust your body here. And take one more full breath. And breathing in, breathing out. And then let yourself just come back through center and rock the body, sit up nice and tall. Breathe in deeply, exhale out completely. Good. And then take your hands, you can just rock your hands back and stretch your legs straight out for a moment and just give your legs a little shake. Sitting cross-legged is uncomfortable for you. I've been doing it for like 20 years, so I can sit that way for a while, but for you it might be really uncomfortable. So take breaks whenever you need to when we're moving. If we're in a pose or a position that starts to become uncomfortable for you. We're gonna take a little crab walk here. So you're gonna bend your knees, place your feet on your mat, at least mat width apart. That's a good starting point. And you can just lean back into your hands and then drop your knees over to the left as far as they'll go. Kind of press down until you feel a little bit of an opening and a little bit of a stretch, and then lift up, breathe in, exhale, drop them over to the right. Go side to side, and the reason I call this the crab walk is because eventually you're going to find yourself kind of moving forward on your mat. This is a nice little twist for the lower spine, and we start to mobilize those hips a bit more. So just breathe with each phase of this movement, and again, for this particular practice, focus on what feels good. Let the movements be really yummy and nurturing for your body. Good, just a couple more breaths here. Good. Then the next time you drop your knees over to the left, I want you to pause there and try to sit up onto your left hip. So we're going to do a little twist and we'll hold this. So your legs are kind of staggered. Bring your right hand around to your left knee. You can take your left fingertips behind you and just prop up on those fingertips, lift your chest nice and tall. And then rotate your gaze and look over your left shoulder. Lift your heart. Lift your chin even a little bit. You might be able to bend your elbows slightly. And just feel your spine twisting as far as it's comfortable for you. And the nice thing about this particular twist is that you can really work from the tailbone all the way up through the crown of your head. So you'll want to feel that right hip kind of lifting and pulling towards the left knee slightly. So you're moving the whole pelvis into the twist. Take a deep breath into your spine. Draw your shoulders down your back as you exhale. Relax your jaw. One more deep breath in, lift your heart. Hold the pose, exhale, pull the shoulders back and down. Good, breathe in. And then as you exhale, let yourself soften, come all the way back through center. Just scoop up your knees and take them all the way over to the opposite side. Bring your left hand around to your right knee and walk your right fingertips as far behind you as possible, and then just sit up tall. Lift your heart, lift through your spine, lift through the crown of your head, and start to peek back over your right shoulder. And breathe, just breathe here. Feel that left hip, let your left hip move. Sometimes people try to hold it back and down, but for this pose today, I want you to lift that left hip up and pull it towards your right knee so that we're getting the whole pelvis to move into the twist. We actually want to wring out the entire length of the spine here. Right, so all the nerves that emanate out from the spine, all the ligaments between the bones, the tendons, the muscles, tiny muscles along the backbones, all the organs through the core of the body. This twist is wringing everything out. Good. Lift your heart a little bit more. 2 more breaths. Sit nice and tall. Breathe in. Let your belly twist to the right as you exhale. Relax your jaw, shoulders down your back. One last breath in. Good, and then breathe out, let yourself soften, and come all the way back through center. Good. Scoop up your knees. And then let's shift into child's pose, and we'll kind of neutralize the spine there. So you can just come around onto your hands and knees, kind of working with the elements of nature here. So excuse me while I clear off my mat. And then let yourself just come forward right into child's pose. So while you're here in child's pose, just let your body completely surrender. We want to neutralize the spine a little bit after that twist. So take some deep belly breaths. Breathe into your belly. Let it expand. Feel how that actually expands your low back as well. And breathe out completely. Maybe even rocking a little side to side if that feels good. We'll take 2 more deep breaths here. One more deep breath. Belly expands, side out if you'd like, through an open mouth. Good, and then on your next breath in, you can rise up, come onto your hands and knees. You're coming into tabletop position. And let's press into the right hand here. You could even slide your right hand just in a little bit towards the midline of your mat. Press down into that right hand and lift your left arm up. And just lift your gaze up towards the sky and rotate out your left wrist. And if you're sticky in the joints today, especially through this left arm, you could bend and straighten or circle from the elbow as well, or you could draw big circles with the left arm. Or you could just be holding this pose static, lifting your left arm up, gazing up, pushing through your right hand, lifting up out of your right shoulder. Take a deep breath in here. Hold as you exhale. One more full breath. Breathe in, twisting your spine. And then exhale, bring your left hand back down to your mat. And let's just do that on side 2. So you'll come back to tabletop position and then just slide your left hand in a little bit towards the midline of your mat. Lift your right arm up. Look up if you can. Right? If your neck doesn't like that today, look down. Change things up for yourself. And if you want that movement for the joints here, circle your wrist, your right wrist. You could circle from your elbow joint, or even drawing big circles from the shoulder joint. So this kind of fluid movement is just super healing for your joints. Right? Kind of goes back to that saying, use it or lose it. So let your joints move around a little bit. And then just stretching straight back up through those right fingertips. Reach your fingernails high towards the sky. Gaze up, breathe in. And then breathe out, let your hand release. Come back to hands and knees. Hands right underneath your shoulders. Spread your fingers out wide. Let's take this up a notch. We're going to move into down dog. So tuck your toes and lift your hips and push back. Let your head hang. And get into your legs a little bit here. So bend your right knee, press your left heel towards the floor. Bend your left knee, push your right heel towards your mat. If you'd like, pedal out your feet like that, side to side. Bring it up into your hips and let your hips sway a little like you're wagging your tail. Let your head hang. Relax through the forehead and the space between the eyes. And breathe nice and deeply. Keep that breath fluid. Whenever you need a break, just drop your knees. Come back to child's pose. That's a great resting point. Good, and then let yourself come into your down dog and take a breath in, come into plank pose, upward push-up position. So your shoulders are gonna stack right over your wrist, and again, if you need to, you could drop your knees here, but try to keep them kind of light on your mat. Otherwise, we're gonna do a little core strengthening, which is really supportive for the back. Those back muscles are gonna overwork if the core is on the weaker side. So as you're holding here, spread your fingers, push the floor away, and try to press your shoulders down your back, lift through the back of your neck. Your chest is open. And then feel yourself kind of pressing down through the hands in such a way that you're kind of filling up that space right between your shoulder blades. If your body starts to shake, that's a good sign you're actually beginning to get stronger. Now squeeze your thighs, tuck your tail, lift the navel up and in, take one more breath. And then pull yourself all the way back through down dog. Hold here in down dog. Feel the rebound out of that plank pose. Breathe in. And then breathe out, let your knees come back down to your mat and take a child's pose. So if your head doesn't reach your mat, just cross your hands here, rest your forehead on your hands. 2 deep breaths. One more deep breath in and out. And then take your arms back out in front. Rise back up onto your hands and knees. Tuck your toes, lift your hips, come back into your downward facing dog one more time. And we're just gonna touch into the hips a little bit before we start to wind this practice down today. So from your downward facing dog pose, lift your right leg up. And as you're working here, you're gonna stretch your right hip open. Lift through the toes, bend the right knee if you can. This is always a good place, again, to circle out the joints a little bit if you'd like. And let this feel good. Take one more full breath, breathe in. And then as you exhale, you're gonna lunge your right foot forward between your hands. Try to get your fingers and toes in line, and then just rest your left knee down and lean into your hips. So most importantly with this one is that just keep the right heel grounded. If you happen to have blocks for your hands, that's a great modification. But we just want to touch into the hips a little bit. So let the hips rock a little side to side. If the hips are really tight, that can also impact how the back and the spine are doing. Release your jaw here. So you might just want to stay low. You could keep your hands down on your mat. Let this feel good. If you want to work up a little higher, hands could come to your knee or your thigh. You want to spread your left toes, press down through the top of the foot and the ankle. And lastly, if you'd like, you could lift your arms, maybe even arching back, let the shoulders melt towards the floor. Take a nice deep breath. You could even bend your elbows a little bit, letting the heart open. Good. And then bringing those hands all the way back down to your mat. Tuck those back toes, lift the knee, stretch yourself back. Coming into your downward facing dog, and just take a pause here. Breathe in, breathe out. Feel your hips, feel your body. Side 2, lift your left leg. Take it up. Bend your knee if that feels good. Feel free to circle at the joints. I've got this great view of Chetek Lake behind me. You might be able to even hear the speedboats going by. It's kind of a luxury to be able to practice outside on such a beautiful day. Let's lunge this left foot forward. So breathe out, step your left foot between your hands, and then go ahead and drop your right knee down and just lean into your hips again. And any little bit of movement here is more than welcome. So you could rock a little side to side. You could even shift your hips forward and back. Especially when you're dealing with back issues or back pain, sometimes fluid movement can be more supportive than really rigid, locked down positions. So give yourself that permission just to be fluid and kind of move around and see what feels good. If you want to take that lunge a little deeper, walk your hands up to your front thigh. Make sure you're pressing down firm into your right foot, spreading the toes, maybe even lifting the arms up. Maybe even arching back a little bit, really pressing through your foundation. Melt the shoulders. You could melt the elbows towards the earth to expand your chest more. Take a full breath, breathe in, and then breathing out. Let your hands come all the way down. Tuck those back toes, lift the knee, and when you're ready, back to your downward facing dog. So I'm just going to give you a couple options here. From down dog, you could stay right here in down dog. Just breathe and feel. If you need to be restorative, drop your knees. Take child's pose. If you feel like you want to challenge your body and strengthen, take a vinyasa with me. So you're going to come forward into your plank again, and I'm going to modify this. For those of you that would like to modify it with me, go ahead and do that. Drop your knees to your mat. Press your shoulders down, lengthen out through the neck, and lift the back of your neck. Hold here, pull the belly in, and then start to press your hands towards each other. Give a little bend into the elbows and press your hands in towards each other. So you're starting to really activate the muscles necessary for chaturanga. And then when you're ready, start to lower your chest towards the earth, elbows over the wrist. Lower your chest all the way down to your mat. Let your toes point back behind you. Take a breath in, curl the body up into cobra. From cobra pose, maybe up dog is in the cards for you tonight. And then we'll meet in down dog. Breathing out. Good. Just notice how you're feeling. Take a deep breath in. Full breath out. Good. And then we're just going to wrap up our practice tonight with a pigeon pose to, again, further release those hips a little bit. So lift your right leg. Take a big breath. Breathe in. And then exhale. Bring your right knee to your right hand. And let that left leg stretch straight back behind you. Sometimes you have to walk the left leg in a little bit here so that you can square off your hips towards the front of your mat. Press through your fingertips, lift your chest high. If for some reason there's pain in your knee, just find a different position. You really want to honor your knees here. And if you'd like to fold forward, go ahead and just walk your hands out. Maybe you come to your forearms, maybe crossing your hands, rest your forehead on your hands. And let's just take 5 deep breaths. Just holding here. Let those hips release. Breathe into your belly. Let your spine be massaged by your breath. Maybe even close your eyes and go inside yourself. Connect with your inner body and stay plugged into your breath. Slowly breathing in. Slowly breathing out. And take one more deep breath here. Breathe in. Breathe out. Good. And then we're going to shift to side 2. So walk your hands back. It's just a short stay in pigeon today. Tuck your back toes, scoop that leg up, pedal out your heels for a moment. And then side 2, lift your left leg up nice and high, bring your left knee to your left thumb, your left foot towards your right hip, stretch that right hip back, try to kind of level out your hips here, scoop up nice and tall, lift your chest, breathe in, and then breathe out, just melt your body into your mat and fold yourself as far forward as possible. So if this just didn't work for your knees, you could even just be in child's pose. You could be sitting on your mat in a forward fold. Just find something that gives you a little bit of a stretch and opening into those hips. A few more breaths here. Try to breathe down deep into your belly. And maybe you can actually feel the movement of the breath in the hips. Slow your breath down. Good. Take one more breath in and out. All right. Walk your hands back. There's Ellie Boo Boo making a little sound. Tuck your back toes. Scoop your hips up. Take yourself through down dog once more and just kind of pedal out your heels. Hold in your down dog. Full breath in. Full breath out. And then when you're ready from here, you can just drop your knees down onto your mat and bring yourself around. Have a seat on your mat. It's kind of the most luxurious time of class. We're gonna move into our final relaxation. So come onto your back and draw the knees into the chest to give yourself just a little squeeze here. And if you're somebody who's been practicing for a while, you might have some other poses that you want to incorporate into your practice today. Just press pause on this video and do a little bit of your own practice if you have the time to do so. And if that's about it for you and you're ready to relax and integrate this practice, go ahead and just stretch your legs out long on your mat, coming into your Shavasana pose. So if it's comfortable for you, you're just going to let your feet flop open, away from each other. Let your shoulders just tuck under the body just a little bit. Roll the palms open, tuck the chin slightly to lengthen the back of your neck. If you are struggling with maybe low back pain or discomfort along your spine someplace, sometimes elevating the knees, bending the knees with the feet on the floor, or putting a blanket, rolled up blanket or bolster under the knees can feel nice on the back. So feel free to adjust. Otherwise, the eyes are closed. Take a nice deep breath in, and as you breathe out, soften your entire body. Just let the back of your body begin to melt into the floor. Soften your mind, your brain, and just rest. If you have the time and space in your day to keep resting, give yourself another 5 or even 10 minutes to just lie here and breathe and rest. If you've got things to do, people to see, places to go, start to wake yourself up. Wiggle out your fingers, your toes, circle out your wrists and your ankles. Let your body stretch, maybe reaching the arms overhead. Taking a deep breath in and out. When you're ready, you can rock and roll yourself up to sit or roll to one side. Coming up to sit. Sit however you feel most comfortable. It's really nice to close your practice mindfully, consciously. So just sit for a moment quietly, close your eyes, rest your hands, tune into yourself, and say thank you. Just thank yourself for taking this time to really cultivate some well-being in your own body, mind, and heart. Deep breath in through the nose, cleansing breath out through the mouth. Bring the palms to touch at the front of your chest. Thank you so much for joining me for this practice. I hope you have a beautiful day. Namaste.